Alright, hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here once again, and welcome back to System Shock Radio. So, I do apologize, System Shock Radio has been AWOL for like a week and a half, but I am back now, and let's get right into it. So, the first thing I want to talk about is Christmas. Yes, Christmas is only a few days away. It's actually next week Sunday. Hey, so a week. So, from my family to yours, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all of you. Hope you get to spend time with your family. Hope you get some nice gifts, and I hope you give some nice gifts as well. So just enjoy each other this holiday season. The next thing I want to talk about is the new Super Mario Brothers trailer that just dropped. Well, it dropped by when I was coming up with the topics here, but because I missed a couple of weeks, I am a couple weeks late essentially. Um, but it, I saw the trailer. Well, I saw some of it. The thing about movie trailers is I don't really like to see them because I feel like it kind of spoils for me. I know some people, there's some people who want the spoilers, which I don't really. And there's some people who are like, you know what, spoilers or whatever, but I'll still check out the trailer. And I know the trailer, usually trailers don't spoil too much for the most part, but um, checking out the trailers, not gonna lie, it does look pretty good. A lot of the characters look really solid. It's definitely got that. It definitely looks really well animated. It's so let's see how it turns out. Chris Pratt as Mario is okay. It needs some work. I don't think I got to hear Jack Black as Bowser, but Chris Pratt as Mario sounds okay for the most part. But I imagine they could always redo the lines and stuff because the movie isn't coming out until next year. But everything does look pretty solid. So hopefully, I did say I wasn't sure how the movie was gonna turn out. I don't know if I was gonna like the movie, mostly because I feel like Mario is kind of tricky to make a movie about. Mostly because he doesn't really. The thing about Mario is he doesn't really have a whole lot of like personality to him. He has some, of course, as we've seen, and um, but other than that, the games don't really have too much. Uh, what am I trying to say? The games are very fun, of course, but it's definitely not like a narrative based game, if that makes any sense. Where the narrative is very strong and strong enough to make a movie about. It's mostly okay. Here's Princess Peach. She got kidnapped by Bowser again. So go save her. All right, go explore and everything. And so they kind of just leave you alone to go explore. Nothing wrong with a game like that. There's quite a few games like that, and they're a lot of fun. But making a full length movie about it could be kind of tricky. But so far, it looks pretty good. And I mentioned before other games I want to see as movies. Like I think a Call of Duty movie would be kind of cool, even though it'd definitely be another military movie, and we've had a lot of those. I feel like Sonic, for the most part, are Sonic. I feel like it might have been a little tricky, but thankfully there's other Sonic games that have good narratives, so they can make it work with that. Something like Metal Gear Solid, I think, would be a pretty good movie, or something like The Legend of Zelda, which you may be saying, Nigel, Link doesn't really talk. He doesn't have too much of a personality either, which is kind of true, but at the same time, the characters around Link are the ones with a lot of personality, so they can kind of get away with it. And the games are still narrative driven, but it's the other characters that keep the narrative going, aside from Link himself. But we'll see how the movie turns out. I am optimistic, especially after seeing how good it looks in in the trailer that I saw. It looks pretty good, so we'll see how it turns out. The next thing I want to talk about is the NXT Iron Survivor Challenge. So when I got around to making these topics for this episode, the Iron Survivor Challenge was just recently announced, but by the time it's recording, it's come and gone. It was at NXT Deadline, which was last Saturday. So sadly, because I had to work, and I actually had to work pretty late, I didn't get to see how it panned out, but taking into account the rules of it, it's interesting, and I gotta see how the matches played out. But it's interesting. So the vibe that I got from how the Iron Survivor Challenge rules were explained by Mr. Shawn Michaels, it reminds me of two things. The first is TNA's King of the Mountain match, which had like the penalty box element to it, and I believe also had a time limit element to it. But it also reminded me of like the Championship Scramble that WWE hadn't done in a while. I think the last time they did the Championship Scramble stuff was back in like I think 2008 or 2009. It was a while ago, uh, and it was only a brief thing that they did, the Championship Scramble. Oh, and I feel like that it kind of had potential. It was a little weird, but it had potential. Oh, but yeah. So we gotta see how the Iron Survivor Challenge turned out. I haven't really heard too many people voice their opinions on it. Surprisingly, on the match. Maybe I'm just not looking in the right places, but we're definitely gonna check it out at some point to see how they did. But the next thing that I want to talk about is what video games have I 100% completed. So it's one thing to beat a video game, like the story mode of a game. For some people, beating the story mode is enough. You beat the story of the game, or you get the game's main objective, or if the game doesn't really have a story, you play it for a certain amount of time, and then you're done with it. Some people don't come back to a game after they beat the story of it. Either that, or they'll come back to it just to beat the story again. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to do that in a game, that is totally fine. That's up to you. But for those of you who want a little more, usually games have an incentive for getting 100% completion, and that's getting everything. And that's getting all the collectibles in a game. That's doing all like the tasks and stuff in a game, and all of that. There's people who go for that. So, what games have I 100% completed in my lifetime? Even though I'm a huge gamer fan, there's only 5 games in total that I have 100% completed in my lifetime. And that is the Spyro trilogy, both on PlayStation 1, although I used the PS3 emulator, I 100% completed those, and in the Spyro Reignite trilogy. And not only did I 100% complete those games, but I also platinumed the games as well. I knew Spyro was a game that I absolutely adored growing up, and so I knew I definitely wanted to complete it at least at some point in my lifetime. It wasn't until I got older, because when I was younger I used to kind of suck at video games, but once I got older I knew I wanted to go for 100% completion for the Spyro games, so that is exactly what I did. And in terms of difficulty of 100% completing those, the first one was pretty easy for the most part, except for like a couple levels such as like treetops. Mostly because Spyro's moveset didn't really change or didn't really vary, so you could just 100% complete them when you first on your first run through of the level, and that's how I did it. And I also did the flight stages, which the flight stages, especially in like Spyro 1, I've never really been a big fan of, and I think I've kind of talked about this before, not just on System Shock Radio, if I'm not mistaken, but also when I reviewed the Spyro games, which if you haven't already, go check those out. But I talked about how I never really liked the flight stages, even growing up. So those were a little tricky. Thankfully, the flight stages were a lot more fun in the later 2 Spyro games, but Spyro 1's flight stages weren't the best. But nevertheless, I completed those. I 100% those. I platinumed those, and I did that. And then the other 2 games are Lego Marvel Superheroes and Lego Marvel Avengers. I'll finish talking about Spyro. Because the later 2 Spyro games were a bit trickier, mostly because you would get like different moves or different characters that you had to unlock in like Spyro 3's case. You oftentimes had to come back to levels, and some of the stuff they had you do, especially in Spyro 3, was really, really difficult and really, really annoying. More specifically, the tank battle in Haunted Tombs, and pretty much everything in Dino Mines. I, um, that stuff really, he really got me. Thankfully, when I like streamed the Spyro games, it didn't take me as long to beat them, which is actually pretty cool. But I remember when I played them on PS3. The PS1 games on PS3 through emulation. I think it took me like a few months to actually beat Spyro 3 100%. But nevertheless, the Lego Marvel Superheroes and Lego Marvel Avengers game. I wanted 100% Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, but there was a glitch to where I couldn't get the last gold brick in the main hub area for Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, which sucks. It was the last gold brick I needed in the hub area, and then I would go into the story stages. But man, that sucked. It definitely killed my enjoyment of 100%ing the Lego games. So I haven't gone back to it. I probably gotta start a new save file in order to get it, but. And also, the thing about the Lego games is they're kind of time consuming because as you gotta complete quests, you gotta get enough studs to unlock the character, and you gotta get like the stud multiplier and stuff. You can use cheat codes, but I decided not to. But you can gotta get studs to unlock the characters. Yeah, unlock the characters. There's either in the story stage or in the hub areas in the Lego Marvel games in the hub area, so there's quite a bit to do. I think each one took me like a month or two to actually 100%. But yeah, so not a whole lot of games that I've 100%ed, but I'm proud of myself that I was able to 100% at least some games. Now, like I said, if you don't want to go for 100% completion in a game, that is totally fine. In fact, there's some games where 100% completion probably isn't recommended because you will go crazy. More specifically, like the Crash Bandicoot games, I heard getting 100% in those games was a nightmare. But for those of you who want the extra completion, I definitely recommend a 100%ing a game. The next thing I want to talk about is WWE SmackDown coming to Buffalo. So, on December 2nd, if I'm not mistaken, and I think it was, or it might have been the 9th. Yeah, it was the 9th. SmackDown came to Buffalo for the first time in a while. Now, sadly, I missed Raw when it came to Buffalo earlier on this year. But SmackDown, I went to, me and my dad went, and we sat pretty high up. But it was a pretty fun night, and getting to see like the wrestlers and stuff live was really, really cool. And this is the second wrestling event I went to this year. The first was AEW when they came to Buffalo. A lot of fun, and not as long as AEW, but there was a dark match after, and we saw the main show, and there's actually a dark match before as well. So pretty fun for the most part. Between the two shows, I might have to give this one to AEW, who probably because it was my birthday, so I had a lot more fun with the AEW show, but SmackDown was still really fun, and getting to see a lot of stuff live was pretty cool. We saw a lot of the best. Sadly, no Roman, but I kind of expected that. But at least there was the Usos and Sammy and Solo was there. Ricochet won the World Cup, so he faced Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship, and he lost. I believe it was this past Friday on SmackDown. Kofi Kingston was there. No Xavier Woods, surprisingly. Bray Wyatt was there. And sadly no LA Knight, but Bray Wyatt was there. Tegan Knox returned. Sadly, the crowd didn't really pop that big for Tegan, which kind of sucked. But yeah, so overall, pretty fun show. And the final thing I want to talk about is taking risks. So, in life, sometimes risks have to be taken. Sometimes you have to try new things, even though you don't know how it will turn out. A lot of the stuff that we have nowadays is such as like all this tech and stuff that I and a lot of people use, such as this camera, this mic, this mouse here, my computer, everything like that. All of it was created, but someone had to take the risk. Someone had to see the vision and go with it, even when they were denied. When other people were like, I'm not really feeling it." There's a show that my dad watches. There's quite a few on the History Channel talking about the stuff that built America, and a common theme that I see is a new idea being presented, but people shooting it down. I'm saying it's too risky to invest in. One of them is the creation of Barbie. People said nobody would buy a Barbie doll. Oh, nobody wants a doll like this. Or her attaching their wagon to this new movie back then called Star Wars. There's nobody wanted to make toys for Star Wars and stuff. And we've seen it with foods and stuff. But people went with their vision anyway. They created it anyway, despite what people said. And it turned out successful. Star Wars, of course, multi-billion-dollar franchise. At this point, not all the movies have been great, but multi-billion-dollar franchise. It's a lot of great stuff. Barbie, I believe the top-selling toy of all time, if I'm not mistaken, or at least up there in terms of top-selling toys. So sometimes that risk has to be taken. Now, does every risk in life pay off? No. But there's plenty that do, but you never know unless you try. But nevertheless, that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload videos so you can see it as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on anything I talked about here. And I'm going to have a whole bunch of videos coming out within the next couple days, so stay tuned. But thanks for watching. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I will see you guys later. Peace.